Right, we've lost 2-1 to Manchester United in the FA Cup final. That is absolutely heartbreaking. Guardiola, I'm watching him now picking up the runners-up medal. We're going to talk about all the goals, all the big moments of what went wrong for Man City, and obviously where this leaves Erik ten Hag as well at the end of the video. It went so bad for City in the first half. I mean, the way Man United were able to break, they were able to hit that ball round the corner, over the top of John Stones, over the top of Nathan Ake. And it just looks so flat. I think, firstly, the City side today, so flat on its legs. I think it was devoid of ideas. I think it was devoid a little bit of belief. And no side keeps winning everything all the time. I think when you win the Premier League, especially with the way Arsenal run us close, especially with the disappointment against Real Madrid, it takes a massive chunk out of your energy and your belief as well. And this City side have achieved everything in football this season. The Club World Cup, 4 in a row, 100-point seasons a couple of years ago, and of course the treble last season. And it doesn't surprise you that when a side that arrive at Wembley, they're organised and they hit you on the counter-attack, they are just going to shock you. They are just going to catch you with a straight right hook. And Man United arrived with a lot of quality today off the ball. Obviously, I thought City were going to smash Man United if any kind of version of Man United arrived, especially the ones that have lost to the likes of Crystal Palace and Bournemouth. But they arrived with this kind of performance where they were so defensively resolute. Amrabat today was fantastic. Scott McTominay was fantastic. Martinez at centre-back was absolutely fantastic as well. The 2 goals for Man United, it was just absolutely ridiculous. The ball round the corner for Garnacho was the first one where he taps it into an open net. Gvardiol smashed it into Ortega. That alludes to the fact that obviously our first choice keeper is out missing. I think Man United fans would make a lot of that if Onana was injured. They've been making a lot of injuries all season. So obviously Ederson out for that game, for this game, and that's massive because Ortega's a fantastic keeper. But it takes years to form relationships with players. And you've got a new left back who's more of a centre back playing left back. He's barging people and the ball gets flipped over the top, and Garnacho with a great little finish. Well, it's an open net, but he makes a good little run to get into that position. But it's the second goal that kills the game because it never felt like City. City could always score 1. But when it's 2, they give themselves a beautiful buffer to win the game outright early in the first half, essentially. Rashford creates an unbelievable little ball onto the right-hand side. The ball gets played around. And who scored, lads? Who scored second goal? Who was it? Man United. Who?
Maino.
Oh, Kobbie Mainoo, and the ball lands to Kobbie Mainoo. Oh, beautiful finish. I've been saying that this game was a big advertisement for Kobbie Mainoo because obviously it's the final club game before the Euros. He's in the squad with the likes of Adam Wharton. People saying that Adam Wharton needs to be starting over Kobbie Mainoo. Not for me. If you're scoring FA Cup final goals like that with composure, if you're running midfield like that, he absolutely has to be starting. Second half, Kovacic goes off, De Bruyne goes off, and Nathan Ake goes off as well. These are all substitutes I would have made, actually. There's no complaints from me. I think Kovacic should not have been starting this game. There's 2 ways of looking at it. As a City fan, you can say, oh, Kovacic brings a lot of experience into the midfield. He brings a level of composure. I've not seen it much this season. I know he finished the back end of the Premier League campaign strong, knocking the ball around nice. He's a smooth operator and he looks like a good, powerful midfielder on the ball. And his passing range is fantastic, Kovacic. But sometimes he just adds this element of sort of fatigue into the midfield. He's a little bit slow on the ball. He's a bit of a passenger. He's a bit like Jorginho. If Jorginho doesn't have a 10 out of 10 game, he has a 0. And Kovacic doesn't have enough 7 out of 10 games. He doesn't do enough if he's not having a good game. And I thought Man United just crowded him out. We needed more width. We needed more pace. Even if it's not Bernardo to start this game. You could have had Doku on the right and Grealish on the left or something like that with Phil Foden in midfield. But it wasn't to be. And the decision to not start Doku will cost Guardiola and it will cost Man City in this cup final, looking back on it, because Doku comes on and changes the game. He creates more space for Rodri. He creates space for Akanji, who had a shot. But Doku scores a goal out of nowhere. We can question the quality of the strike. It was on target. It was low into the bottom of the corner. And ultimately, it's poor keeping from Onana, who, out of nowhere, Man City are in the game. Because Man City did not deserve, really, to win this FA Cup final. Let's be completely real. And Doku gets City back into it. It's a beautiful, beautiful strike. Again, as I said, Akanji had a long-range effort. 90th minute, there was 7 minutes to go. He has to show a level of composure today. I'm not sure why he wasn't really featuring in this game. It was Stones and Ake at the back. It didn't quite work. Gvardiol always starts for me 1,000,000%, but There's an argument with Rashford's pace and Garnacho's pace that you start Nathan Ake as a fullback, Kyle Walker on the other side with a bit more pace. These are small criticisms, but I'm not sure why Ruben Diaz isn't starting the game. I don't think we can see two that early in the game with Ruben Diaz. I'm not sure about his injury concerns, but he was on the bench today. So you're going to have to let me know in the comments down below. The midfield today was not good enough. No question about it. Rodri had one of his worst games. The winning streak for Rodri is now over, which a lot of City fans, a lot of City social accounts are now going to not be able to tweet about the winning record, which stretched to over 70, which in itself is unbelievable. But that now ends because of Manchester United. De Bruyne didn't do enough today. He had one chance where he whips it around for Erling Haaland, who didn't quite commit. The ball's a little bit over the top, maybe in terms of power. Phil Foden was pushed left a little bit and told to kind of run the channels a little bit and cover space. City on one side were so flat and lacking in pace. And we never troubled Manchester United. It's different if Man United hit us on the counter-attack. They park the bus. They play 6 midfielders with 5 midfielders, 4-5-1 with Rashford up front. To start the game. It's different if they do that against us and we've had 10 shots on target like we did against Real Madrid. That's a different narrative. But the fact of the matter is we weren't good enough on the ball. Didn't put enough pressure on them. And Onana, as soon as there was a shot on target that could have troubled Onana, he concedes. And that was in the 81st, 82nd minute. So that's an issue that Guardiola wasn't able to put a system in place where we trouble Man United earlier. And watching them lift the FA Cup, we have to talk very briefly about where this leaves Manchester United, because it's an interesting saga. It's different. When Louis van Gaal had a poor season, they win the FA Cup against Crystal Palace. They were 1-0 down in that game. Alan Pardew was doing disco moves on the touchline at Wembley. You can kind of see it. Mourinho's available. Mourinho's a far more exciting prospect as a manager than he was back then than he was now. So it kind of made sense. Beating Palace, a little bit ugly. But this Ten Hag situation, he's got young players scoring goals for him. 2 young players that are teenagers scoring goals in an FA Cup final against Man City to stop it being back-to-back wins for Man City, to stop City winning a historic double with brand new ownership coming in. And it looks like they've done a Louis van Gaal on Erik ten Hag. And I think that's a big issue. It will leave a real sour taste in the mouth of a lot of young kids at that club and a lot of Man United fans who have been loyal to Erik ten Hag and supported him in the stadium, supported him home and away. He's a likeable character. I think he's a little bit subdued. I don't think he's good enough to win Man United a league or a Champions League. And these are the standards that we've got to be looking at. But the FA Cup, it's a sad moment if he wins the FA Cup. The kind of almost the spirit of the cup, the spirit of togetherness, kind of you lose that a little bit. If you sack your manager 24 hours afterwards, I think the club needs to come out and give him at least a few weeks of clarity. And I'm saying that he's going to see out his contract and let him start next season. In my opinion, I know it's all banter. I don't think he's good enough for Man United, but the prospects of Tuchel coming in, Pochettino, it doesn't make sense for me at the moment. It's been a beautiful season for City. The Club World Cup, the Super Cup, historic trophies for the club, of course, and then 4 in a row. You can never be sitting there as a City fan saying, well, we should be winning this, should be winning that. An amazing day at Wembley. Unlucky to be losing to Manchester United. But Erik ten Hag is lifting the FA Cup. And it's a sad state of affairs. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you very, very soon.